मोहम्मद बिन आदिल, आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर, आवाज आ रही है।
ठीक है। और आदिल, आपको स्क्रीन भी नजर आ रही है?
जी हाँ सर।
ओके। सीआर कौन है? मैं नाम भूल जाता हूँ यार आपके सीआर का।
मोहम्मद नोमान।
नोमान, नोमान। नोमान आ गया। नोमान, एहतियातन ये लिंक भी जरा व्हाट्सएप में सेंड कर दें, ऐसा ना हो किसी के पास पुराना लिंक हो। मैंने लिंक भी रीसेट की है।
ओके सर।
इनाम, आप क्या कह रहे हैं? बोथ आर क्लियर्ड? मैं समझा नहीं।
सर आवाज भी क्लियर है और स्क्रीन में नजर आ रही है सर।
ओके ओके ओके, थैंक यू। नोमान, शुरू कर लें?
जी सर।
बस ठीक हो गया जनाब। एक अटेंडेंस अभी मैंने ले ली। ठीक हो गया। सेक्शन आपका कौन सा है? सेक्शन डी है कि ई है? ई।
जी सर।
सेक्शन ई। ठीक हो गया। एक अटेंडेंस अभी होगी। और ये हो जाएगी फर्स्ट। अच्छा जनाब, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द लेक्चर which is okay. So let's start this lecture. This is an interesting lecture, I believe. Number of slides are, I think, 40 or 41, but we'll go quickly over the various slides, which you can read. I generally try to give more content so that you have the opportunity to read it. But I generally sometimes keep myself focused on certain slides rather than all of the slides and reading all of them. You know that. So the critical things which will be there, I will be explaining that. So today's lecture is related to project time management and scheduling. Uh, Today you will, I think you would have got by this time the assignment also, which is due next week. Am I right, Noman?
Yes sir.
Okay. And please remember, next week will be when we will have our week number 6 or lecture number 6, we will have the quiz also. So please be ready for that. ठीक है नोमान?
Okay sir.
Okay. So by the end of this lecture, you should be able to explain the process required to manage the time, explain the project schedule management techniques. It is important. One is the critical path method. The other one is called program evaluation and review technique, which is called PERT. We have read about these in the previous lecture as well, very briefly. This time we are going to study in more detail, especially the critical path method. Then we will demonstrate the project schedule compression techniques. You'll discuss what is crashing and what is fast tracking. You will find the difference between the two. Then explain the project network diagram. We will do something very important about that. So these two will be very critical in today's lecture. And then we will explain project schedule in their types. This is a generalized type of information, knowledge which you will get. Now, very quickly, without spending too much time, let me quickly go through these things. Project time management includes the processes required to manage the time completion of the project. So the first thing is plan schedule management. So it says that the plan schedule management is the process of establishing the policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project. Now, apparently, this sentence comprising of too much of English and too much of information has something very important. And let me quickly narrate that. So whenever you are devising your management plan, that how you're going to manage a certain project, then it will be very, very important that you have to establish policies. You must establish procedures. And then you must gather relevant documentation, or you must make record of all those things which are happening. Right? And then after that, you will be managing, executing, and controlling the project. Now let's come to the first term, policies. Who can tell me the difference between policy and procedure? Very quickly. Don't Google, just use your own brain and give me whatever comes to your mind. Policies and procedure. Khalid Rahman. Khalid Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me the difference between policy and a procedure? Just use your own mind.
The policies are special made by the people, and procedures are general.
Policy is what? Please say again. Policy.
These are sir specific made by the people, sir. They are government, sir. Procedures
Okay.
are generals.
Okay. Mohammad Hamza Javed.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the difference?
Policy is actually a set of general guidelines which are presented by the government, and the procedure could be the action specified for carrying out a specific policy.
Good. You're trying. You're in the right direction. Ikra. Ikra. जी बोले, माइक आपने ऑन किए, बोले। आवाज नहीं आई आपकी। इकरा। इकरा, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही। अच्छा, जीशान खान।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
जनाब।
Sir, policies are the special steps taken by the government, and the procedures is the process of implementation of these policies.
Okay. One final. Ture Sinin, the difference between the two. What do you think? What is policy and what is procedure?
Sure, policies is defined by a specified group or people, and procedure is a general procedure like.
Okay. No problem. ठीक है. Okay, let's move further. So, first thing is that it is not necessary that policy is defined by government. For example, you are working in a private company and you are the project manager, and you are constructing the tallest building in Islamabad. It's a project worth 5 billion rupees, for example, and you are the project manager. So, along with the decision-making team, you may set certain policies. So policies would be, for example, maybe you set the policy that there will be 5 working days. This is a policy. Maybe you say, no, there will be 7 working days. Okay, then you might set a policy that whoever is working more than 40 hours per week, he or she will be paid at this much rate. Number of off hours will be these. We will be working 24 hours a day. So these are the policies which you are going to give. So it is not necessary that always it is the government which is giving a policy. Yes, there is a possibility. There can be certain policies given by the government, and not only government, but by some international organization. They might be them. Excuse me. They might be binding on you. For example, I just gave you the example that 40 hours per week. So this is an international law that generally it is 40 hours per week is the typical workload of an employee. About 8 hours per day and 5 days a week, something like that. So the policies are like these, that what are the principles, what things we are going to do and what not. So this is a high level sort of a decision making, that what you will be doing. Whereas procedure is something to follow. For example, if you are working on a night shift, then at what time should you arrive, and then how you're going to mark something. Okay, concreting is to be done. The procedure is that the concrete mix design will be undertaken by this way. So these will be procedures, something which people will be doing, something which they have to deliver. So according to that, there will be sort of a standard operating procedures. We sometimes call them SOPs also. And then is the documentation. Whatever you are doing, if it is not documented, if certain instructions are given at the work site by the manager and they are not documented, so tomorrow there will be a problem. So therefore you will have certain, again, policies and procedure for documentation as well, and so on. So let's move further. Define activities. The process of identifying and documenting the specific actions to be performed to produce the project deliverables. So we have already discussed these things in the beginning. Work breakdown structure, that what is a project, sub-project, activity, sub-activity, task, etc. So this is actually related to those that you're defining those activities. Small level, you break down to the activity level, or you break it down to the task level, whatever is the case. Not strictly over here using the term task, but we are talking of generally of breakdown structure. Sequence of activities. This is very important. The process of identifying and documenting relationship among the project activities. For example, if you have foundation excavation starting on 1st of May, ending on 10th of May, then after this lean will start. Concrete 148 lean has to be done. Now let's say it starts on 11 and it ends on 15th of May. Now you see we are trying to define a relationship between these two activities, that this activity 1 will start on 1st of May, will end 10th of May. Activity number 2 will start on 11th and will finish on 15th. Now it's up to you how to define the relation. When 1 finishes, then 2 will start, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to discuss some of these types of these sequencing later on in the lecture. So let me not go into detail right now, but the point which we are trying to make is there will be a relationship between various activities that you have to establish. So this is important. Estimate activity resources. The process of estimating type and quantities of material, human resources, equipment, supplies required to perform each activity. Now, over here, we said excavation of foundation. Now, the point is for A, what resources are required? For example, in human resources, you need, for example, engineer. Let's say 1 engineer is required. Let's say you need masons, and let's say 3 of them are required. You need helpers, let's say 12 of those required. Then you have equipment resources. You need excavator, 1 number, and so on. So you have to estimate the resources, what type of resources you need, what is their quantity. Now, quantity of human resources also is required. Also of the material is required. How much excavation will be done, for example, and many other things which are being consumed over there. Or supplies required to perform each activity. Now, we said excavator is required. So you can put that you will need petrol or diesel, for example, 1,000 liters, for example, for undertaking this assignment. So when you estimate these resources, you assign them to those activities actually. Have you started using the Noman? Have you started using the software?
Yes, sir.
उसमें क्या मुदस्सर क्या चीज कर रहे हैं?
सर OBS और EPS किया है सर.
क्या किए? मुसव्विर बोले, दोबारा बोले.
सर EPS और OBS किया है सर.
अच्छा, और आपने ये किए कि एक्टिविटीज में रिसोर्सेज डिफाइन करने शुरू किए कि अभी नहीं किए?
नो सर, अभी नहीं किया सर.
ठीक है. So please keep in mind, I am telling you, there will be a resource sheet where you are going to define all these resources which I have just explained. Then you have to give their unit cost as well. For example, if I am deploying a engineer, then the charge rate for engineer will be, for example, 2,000 rupees per hour, for example. If the mason is deployed, the charge rate is 1,000 rupees per hour. It can be any number. I'm just giving you randomly without any paying attention that whether this is too much or too less. Then, for example, mason will be 400 rupees per hour. When you said 100,000 liter of petrol, then the cost of per liter is this much. So the total, for example, 1 liter is 120 rupees or 110 rupees per liter. So all these things need to be defined in the software. And when you will put it in the activity chart, so you will start getting what resources are deployed to this and what is the cost of these resources for each and every activity. This is very important, by the way. I've seen many people using the project management software, but only for the sake of describing what are the activities. That is not the true way of using the software. यानी कि मैं अर्ज ये कर रहा हूँ कि मैंने लोगों को इस्तेमाल करते हुए देखा है प्रोजेक्ट को, आइदर प्राइमावेरा या MS प्रोजेक्ट, जिसमें वो सिर्फ गैंट चार्ट बना रहे हैं. यानी ये बता रहे हैं कि एक्सकेवेशन कब स्टार्ट होगी, कब फिनिश होगी, उसके बाद लीन कंक्रीट कब स्टार्ट होगी, कब फिनिश होगी, उसके बाद फाउंडेशन कब स्टार्ट होगी, कब फिनिश होगी, एंड सो ऑन. वॉल्स कब बनेंगी, खत्म होंगी, एंड पूरा सिर्फ स्केड्यूल. So I'm trying to tell that is just portion of that software, the capability of that software you are utilizing. That is just part of that. The actual and the real thing which you will need is that you should be using it for calculating not only the time, but also what are the resources, what is the cost of each activity, breakdown of that. So I always tell my students that these softwares give you the plan of your project, long section of your project, cross sections of your project. There can be number of cross sections. This is just to correlate with the engineering drawing. When you are looking into a certain structure, for example, a bridge or a building or anything which is on the drawing, so you have the plan, you have the long section, you have the cross sections. So similarly, the Primavera software or any other maybe MS project, it has the capability to give you the plan, PLAN plan, which is the top view, the long view, the long cross section, the long section, the cross sections, various cross sections. So I'm just trying to correlate and tell you that this will be the objective of using those tools. Now going further, estimate activity duration. So you will estimate that what time an activity will take. Please don't get confused with the term activity and task, which we have already defined. So this is the nomenclature you should be very clear of. If task I have defined to be the smallest piece of work which is to be done, which is assignable, quantifiable, doable, measurable, so that is task. But for example, I'm using the term TASK, task. You may name it activity, for example. So don't get confused over there. The point you should get is the smallest level of activity or smallest level of piece of work is something which you need to know. So don't get confused that you have taught us earlier task, but now you're saying that activity. So don't get confused. When you're sitting, you should be clear what it means actually. So for each task or activity, whichever is the case, you need to estimate what is the duration of that. And we have discussed a formula. It will be discussed again today. Then you develop a schedule. The process of analyzing activity, sequence, duration, resources, requirements, and schedule constraint to create the project schedule model. Constraints. There will be certain constraints. Unless and until the result of 7 days cylinder strength is not there and it is not satisfactory, you will not be able to move to the next level of concreting on the first floor. You have to wait for that. So various constraints can be there. Some days are off, some days are working, and so on. Control schedule, the process of monitoring the status of project activity, up-to-date project progress, and manage changes to the schedule baseline to achieve a plan. So controlling actually means then you are actively looking after all the things which are happening. If you remember, I think I gave you the example that what should be the breakdown level. Should you be breaking down the activities that at what time which brick has to be laid? So the brick number 20th of today should be laid at 9:01 a.m. We said no, we can't go to this micro level. Noman, baat yaad hai ye wali? Noman.
जी सर.
ये जो चीज मैं कह रहा हूँ ये याद है जो मैंने एक क्लास पहले ये बात बोली थी?
सर पिछली क्लास में तो मैं नहीं था सर.
नहीं, उससे पिछली में शायद था. Anybody who remembers? Rahim, Usama, Rahimullah.
यस सर आपने कहा था.
ठीक है, लेकिन रहीम, उसामा.
जी सर.
ठीक है, रहीम आपको याद है जो बात बोली है कि नहीं याद है? भूल चुके हैं?
सर याद है. कंस्ट्रेंट के बारे में
नहीं, मैंने ये बात की थी कि एक मेसन जो है, आप वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट कर रहे हैं तो कितना नीचे तक ब्रेक करें. एक ब्रेक ये भी हो सकता है, यू ब्रेक इट डाउन टू सच ए माइनर लेवल दैट व्हेन द मेसन स्टार्ट्स द फर्स्ट ब्रेक, व्हेन द फर्स्ट ब्रेक is properly placed and then the second break and so on. Should we go and do the work breakdown structure to this level?
ये सर उस लेवल तक हम ब्रेक करेंगे जहाँ तक यानी जरूरत के मुताबिक. ऐसा ना हो कि एक वॉल हम अगर बनाए तो फाउंडेशन बनाए उसके बाद स्ट्रक्चर दीवार बनाए उस लेवल तक.
अच्छा, चले ठीक है. मंसूर, आपको तो याद है, आपने कह दिया, you remember?
जी सर.
Okay, because it is too difficult to then control, because you have to take all those feedbacks that whatever you are going to write, whatever you are going to break down, that this activity should start at this time and finish at this time, then there has to be a mechanism in field to monitor that, record that, and give you means to give back this feedback to the planning team so they update their schedules according to that what was the actual time of start and when it actually finished. So breaking down something to such a minor level in civil engineering project may not be advisable, for example. So anyways, we're talking of control. Let's move further. Now, coming to the critical path analysis and PERT. These are powerful tools that help you schedule and manage complex projects. Both rely on logical sequence of tasks. So we will see today, we will discuss about the two methods. They are very helpful tools for managing your projects. As far as Gantt chart is concerned, it has a method which is called critical path analysis, or we call it critical path method, more famously, more commonly used. Critical path method helps you to plan all tasks that must be completed as part of the project. We'll do a quick example on that also. They act as the basis both for preparation of schedule, of resource planning. So whatever we discussed, it will be used for that. And they help you do various remedial measures. So if you remember in the last class, probably I said that, like you do three-moment equation or any method of analysis, maybe in geotechnical engineering or structural engineering or highway engineering. Similarly, in project management, you have various methods and tools available to do the analysis of your project plan. So today you will see we are going to touch on the critical path method, and we will do an example on that. So CPM PERT can answer the following important questions. Please see. How long will the entire project take to be completed? So you will be able to establish the duration of the project. Which are the critical activities or tasks in the project which could delay the entire project if they are not completed on time? Generally in projects, there will be tens and hundreds of activities happening. It depends upon the size of project. If you're constructing a 5-marla house, the number of activities can be maybe a couple of dozens of activity happening over a period of 6 months or 9 months or 1 year. If you're constructing a bridge, then it might be hundreds of activities happening over a period of maybe 6 months or 1 year. If you're constructing a dam, there might be thousands of activities happening over a period of like 5 years or 6 years. It depends how you have broken down. I just gave you a relative comparison. Even in a small house, if you're doing a good planning, not going to the even brick level, but still maybe these can be maybe 100 activities or 150 activities. It is possible. And if you're constructing a bridge, you are mapping it, planning it properly, maybe there can be thousands of activities happening. You pile number 1, pile number 2, and then pile number 50, for example. So reinforcement of deep foundation, reinforcement of pile caps, piers, transoms, and so on. So it depends. Then is the project on schedule, behind schedule, or ahead of schedule? So you are controlling it, you are watching it. If the project has to be finished earlier, there is a requirement that please finish the project 3 months early, 4 months early, 6 months early. Then what to do? What will be the best way to do this at the least possible cost? Least possible cost, by the way. So you have to do certain iterations for that. Just like if you're designing a reinforced concrete beam or a slab, I think you are doing it in RCD. So you can just, for a 10 feet beam in a house, you might suggest a 18-inch wide and 36-inch beam. It is good enough to be there, but it might be too much. You need to optimize that. Similarly, in project, you might try to finish certain things earlier, but you might have overloaded them unnecessarily. So you need to do the analysis. An effective critical path analysis can make the difference between success and failure on complex projects. So when the projects are complex, critical path analysis can save you from failures. You can see and watch and analyze and have a control on various activities of the project which are happening. It can be very useful for assessing the importance of problems faced during the implementation plan. Please keep in mind, if you're doing a small project, for example, your undergraduate project, Maybe you have 30 or 40 activities to do over a period of 1 year, for example, 2 semesters. Maybe the schedule is in your mind. Because there is only 1 or 2 activities happening every week. So maybe you don't feel like having a project plan, maybe. But just imagine you have 6 months and you are working 8 to 4, and there is a construction site happening. There are trucks are coming and going, bringing crush. Trucks are coming and going, bringing sand. Trucks are coming and bringing cement. Now only these 3 materials, they are being brought in bulk quantities. Now the first thing is to meet the specifications. Who is the supplier? What is their product and what is their cost? When the cement is required, you have limited space for storage. So you just imagine only these 3 materials to be ordered and brought to the site and stored properly, and make sure that they are according to specification. Otherwise, your project, your bill will be rejected. Itself will require a proper thorough planning. You cannot do it in your mind, in your head, without having a proper tool, without having it documented. Now add on that construction of maybe retaining walls happening. Retaining wall number 1 happening at RD number 500. 0 plus 500. Retaining wall number 2 happening at RD 5 plus 300. And so on. Excavation happening on the road from RD 4 kilometer to 5 kilometer. So just imagine there will be too many variables happening at one time, and it will not be feasible for you to just process them in your mind. It will not be practical. So you need to have this tool, this analysis done, so you can critically, you can do the analysis, and you find out what activities, when will they happen, and where I am ahead of time, where I am falling, where my cost is more, where my cost is, I have the gunjaish, you have the margin to have more cost there, if otherwise you are doing saving, for example. I have already mentioned that CPM was developed in 1950. Forget about this. PERT I have talked about this earlier also. The critical path method or critical path analysis is a mathematically based algorithm for scheduling a set of project activities. We are going to do a manual exercise today. In your software, you can do all these things automatically. Please keep in mind. You must learn that. But today I'm going to just do one basic simple problem, but you will be able to do it in your computer very quickly. But you should understand the mechanics of that. Shamroz, ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ture Sinin, ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
मतलब आपको मैं आज जो तरीका बताऊंगा वो आपको जब आपके प्रोजेक्ट्स थोड़े से भी कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाएंगे, ये बड़ा मुश्किल होगा कि आप लोग हाथ से वो कर सकें, तो आपका जो टूल है वो हेल्प करेगा, लेकिन यू शुड नो what is being done by the software itself. On a click of a button, it will do this critical analysis, critical path analysis, CPM, or critical path method will be deployed or employed, and you will get the results within seconds. But you should know what has been done at the back end. Okay. So it is important for effective management. Any project with interdependent activities can apply this method. Okay. The essential technique of CPM is to construct a model of the project that includes the following: a list of, so what is required generally? You are already, I think, your teacher in your software, this lab class would have told you, I've already mentioned, you must have a list of all activities required to complete the project. Work breakdown structure. We have done this example, I think, from the class 1, or whenever we discussed it, we did discuss WBS, coding for WBS. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.3.1, 2.3.2. So 2.3.1 is the third level of breakdown. I've given you certain thumb rules as well, 5 or 4 or 6, whatever. Then you need to know the time duration that each activity will take to complete. Then finally, the very critical thing, the dependencies between the activities. What is the relationship between these activities? We will discuss this quickly also later on. Okay, one important thing to remember, the longest path this is start, this is finish. The longest path. Now we will discuss in terms of days. For example, this takes 2 days, 5 days, 3 days, and 5 days. This takes 2 days, 2 days, and 3 days. So this path takes how much? 4 and 3. From here you get 7 days. From here you get how much? 15 days. So the longest path to the end of the project and its estimate is the minimum project duration. Please keep this in mind. The longest path will be the minimum duration in which the project will be completed. Don't get confused. Common sense. The earliest and the latest that each activity can start and finish without making the project longer by performing forward pass and backward pass analysis. You will do this. So you need to know the longest path. That will be the critical path. And you will see, for each activity, we will find the slacks. How much gunjaish, slack, how much flexibility, how much variation is permissible without delaying the project. We will see that. So all the activities on the critical path will be called as critical activities. So you just imagine, if you are a project manager, I just gave you the example of a road site. So structures are being constructed. Structure means the retaining walls, the drains, and the bridge and causeways are being constructed. The main pavement, the main road section is being constructed, and so on. So there will be multiple activities happening. The activity which has the longest path will be the critical. Any delay on that, even 1 day, your project will be delayed by 1 day. Whereas rest of the activity which are not in critical path, they will have a slack, they will have a gunjaish, they will have a flexibility that if they are delayed to a certain number of days, there will be no issue in the project delay. Noman? मोहम्मद नोमान.
यस सर.
क्यों जी, समझ आई मेरी बात की?
सर रिपीट करें जरा.
क्या करते हो नोमान यार, इतनी लंबी बात कैसे रिपीट करूंगा? चले मैं करता हूं. नोमान खान. नोमान खान सोया हुआ है, जाग रहा है, मौजूद है, एब्सेंट है, क्या करें? नोमान खान माइक. नोमान खान नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल भाई, आपको आज एब्सेंट करते हैं बस. यू आर एब्सेंट टुडे. ये मैंने देखें, देयर इज नो एक्सक्यूज. ये सबसे पहले क्लास 1 से भी पहले मैंने अनाउंसमेंट में जब आप लोग ऐड हुए थे, मैंने सबसे पहली बात की थी, मेक श्योर योर माइक्स आर देयर. मुझे नहीं पता कि, देखिए फ्रैंकली मुझे कहना नहीं चाहिए, लेकिन आई डोंट नो वेदर नोमान इज देयर और नॉट. किसी और को बिठाया हुआ हो, आई हैव नो आइडिया. और प्लस चले छड़े नोमान ही बैठा हुआ है, अब नोमान ने कोई सवाल पूछना है, कैसे पूछेंगे? और मैंने आपसे सवाल पूछा, आप कैसे जवाब देंगे? सो नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. आज 5वीं क्लास है और मैं पिछली दफा भी कह चुका हूं, उससे पहले भी कह चुका हूं. अपना मोहम्मद नोमान ये एक आज मैसेज कर दें कि anybody who will not have the mic, please consider that if I ask and there is no reply, mic problem, then you are absent. मैं आज ये अटेंडेंस जब जमा करवाऊंगा, मैं इरफान को ये मैसेज भी कम्युनिकेट कर दूंगा. लेट हिम टेल दी चेयरमैन आल्सो दैट आई हैव डिसाइडेड ऑन दैट. अगर उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि नहीं जी आप ऐसा ना करें, मैं कहूंगा आप बेशक नोमान खान जिस तरह मैंने उसको आज एब्सेंट किया, आप उसको बेशक भले प्रेजेंट कर दें. मैंने तो ये रिपोर्ट कर दी है एंड यू डोंट डू इट. अगर उन्होंने ये कर दें, ये दिस इज ए सीरियस थिंग. देखिए हम टीवी के ऊपर और सोशल मीडिया पे कई चीजें करते हैं कि जी آن لائن کلاسز بڑی بیکار ہیں, اسٹوڈنٹس ہوتے نہیں ہیں, کچھ سویا ہوتا ہے. تو یہی وجہ ہے نا کہ اب آپ کو جب ڈے 1 سے کہا ہوا ہے انشور یور مائک, انشور دس اینڈ انشور دیٹ, لیکن آپ کا نہیں. دیکھیں نیٹ بیچ میں بریک ہو جانا, بار بار آنا, وہ ایک علیحدہ ایشو ہے, ٹھیک ہے ہو سکتا ہے, لیکن مائک تو ایک چیز ہے, وہ اگر کام نہیں کر رہی اس کا مطلب وہ تو ایک سسٹم ہے جس کو آپ نے خراب رکھا ہوا, اور آپ کو کل پتہ ہونا چاہیے تھا کہ بھائی میری کلاس ہے, وائی اٹ از ناٹ ورکنگ. نعمان ذرا ٹائپ کریں کیا وجہ ہے, کیوں, وائی اٹ از ناٹ ورکنگ. شروع سے ڈے 1 سے مائک کا آپ کا نعمان کا کام نہیں کر رہا, نعمان خان کا. کلاس 1 سے کلاس نمبر 1 جب سے بھی سٹارٹ ہوئی ہے, آج کلاس نمبر ویک نمبر 5 ہے, سو پورے کے پورے 5 کلاسز میں آپ کا مائک خراب ہے. سر دس از مائی فرسٹ کلاس. تو آپ 5 پچھلی 4 کلاسز میں ایبسنٹ تھے. نعمان ور یو ایبسنٹ ان the last 4 classes? Yes or no? محمد نعمان یہ ایبسنٹ تھا, مجھے I don't know.
Yes sir.
چلیں پھر تھوڑی سی ایکسکیوز بن جاتی ہے, لیکن لیکچر تو پھر بھی ہم دیتے رہے ہیں. لیکچر سنتے رہے کہ نہیں سنتے رہے محمد نعمان؟ کہ اب اتنا ٹائم ضائع ہونا شروع ہو گیا یار ان بیکار کی چیزوں کے اوپر. نعمان خان آپ نے لیکچرز ہمارے سنے ہیں سارے؟ یس اور نو؟ چلیں ٹھیک ہے, اوکے, ایکسیپشن ہوگی, ایگری کر لیتے ہیں, مان لیتے ہیں آپ کی بات کو. اچھا اینی باڈی ایلس جس کو سمجھ آئی ہو بات, کون میری بات کو ریپیٹ کرنا چاہے گا؟ نعمان کوئی مسئلہ نہیں یار, دیکھیں یہ چیز ڈے 1 سے ہو رہی ہے, ٹھیک ہے آپ کی بات جنون ہوگی, آپ کی بات کو ہم نے مان لیا, بٹ یو شوڈ بی الائیو, یو شوڈ بی نوئنگ وٹ از ہیپننگ اراؤنڈ. لیکن چلیں اب آگے چلتے ہیں. اچھا اینی باڈی ہو کڈ, محمد نعمان کو کہتا ہے کہ ریپیٹ کر دیں. اینی باڈی ہو وڈ لائک ٹو ویری کوئکلی ریپیٹ دی فائنل پارٹ جو میں نے ابھی جسٹ لیکچر میں کچھ بات کی. منصور کچھ بتائیں گے؟ محمد منصور.
سر مجھے تھوڑی سی خود بھی سمجھ نہیں آئی تھی سر, اس کی گنجائش سر آپ دے رہے تھے.
اچھا ٹھیک ہے, اب میں یہ سوچ رہا ہوں کہ میں نے کیا آخری چیزیں بتائی ہیں. ایک آپ کو میں نے روڈ کی ایگزامپل دی ہے کہ اس کی بات ہو رہی ہے. محمد نعمان اور منصور مجھے ہیلپ کریں, جو میں نے آپ کو ایگزامپل دی ہے
سر آپ کو بتایا تھا کہ جو پروجیکٹ میں امپورٹنٹ چیز ہے سر اگر وہ ہم کنسٹرکٹ نہیں کریں گے تو ہمارا پروجیکٹ ڈیلے ہو جائے گا, تو اس کا یہ مطلب اس کی ڈیلے ہونے سے ہمارا پورا پروجیکٹ ڈیلے.
اوکے اوکے. اور مصور جو میں مثال دے رہا تھا میں نے روڈ کی مثال دی ہے.
یس سر, روڈ اور اس کے اسٹرکچرز کی. سر آپ نے کہا تھا کہ ڈرینز وغیرہ اگر ساتھ ساتھ کنسٹرکٹ نہ بھی ہو تو ان کی وجہ سے پروجیکٹ اتنا لیٹ نہیں ہوتا, اگر روڈ نہ کنسٹرکٹ ہو تو اس کی وجہ سے لیٹ ہوتا ہے.
ٹھیک ہے چلے میں کوئکلی اس کو اردو میں ریپیٹ کر دیتا ہوں. ہمارا جو فورن اسٹوڈنٹ ہے ہی وڈ ہیو انڈرسٹوڈ ان انگلش, بٹ لیٹ می گو ان ٹیل ان اردو ویری کوئکلی. میں یہ کہنا چاہ رہا تھا کہ آپ کا اگر ایک پروجیکٹ ہے کنسٹرکشن آف اے 5 کلومیٹر روڈ فرام پشاور ٹو سم نیئر بائی ولیج, اینی ولیج کوئی بھی نام لے لیں, تو دیر ول بی ملٹیپل ایکٹیویٹیز, بہت سارے کام اکٹھے شروع ہو جائیں گے. مثال کے طور پہ آپ چاہیں گے ایز اے مینیجر اس پروجیکٹ کو ایز ارلی ایز پاسبل کمپلیٹ کریں, کمٹمنٹس بھی آپ نے دیے ہوں گے, کانٹریکٹ سائن کیا ہوگا. ایک میجر کام آپ کا روڈ کی مین جو پیومنٹ ہے وہ بنانا ہے, اس کے لیے آپ نے ایکسکیویشنز کرنی ہے, کٹ اینڈ فل کرنا ہے, تو ایک کام یہ چل رہا ہوگا. ایک یہ کہ جگہ جگہ پہ آپ کے ڈرینز بننے ہوں گے, یہ دوسرا کام ہو رہا ہوگا, ایکٹیویٹی ہو رہی ہوگی. تیسرا جو ہے کہیں پر ریٹیننگ سٹرکچرز آ رہے ہوں گے, کہیں پر آپ کا چھوٹا موٹا کلورٹ آ رہا ہوگا, ہو سکتا ہے ایک سلیب برج بھی آ جائے. تو یہ 4-5 اگر میں ایکٹیویٹیز ہیں, ان میں کئی کام جو ہیں وہ سیریز میں ہو رہے ہوں گے, کچھ پیرلل میں ہو رہے ہوں گے. تو ان میں سے کوئی ایک پاتھ ایسا ہوگا جو کہ کرٹیکل پاتھ ہوگا. تو جو ایکٹیویٹیز کرٹیکل پاتھ پہ ہوں گی, فار ایگزامپل وہ میں بھی ڈرینز ہوں, مطلب مصور نے کہا کہ جی سر آپ نے کہا کہ ڈرینز کی وجہ سے لیٹ نہیں ہوگا, لیکن میں چلے اس طرح کہہ دیتا ہوں کہ ڈرین کی جو ایکٹیویٹی, ڈرین تب بننے ہیں جب آپ کا فلانے کام ہو چکے ہوں, اور وہ مجبور ہو کنسٹرینڈ ہوگا جب تک کہ 2-4-5 کام آپ کے اور نہ ہوئے ہوں. تو وہ ایسے پاتھ پہ لائے کر رہا ہے جو کہ کرٹیکل پاتھ ہے. اب اگر آپ کا ڈرین کی کنسٹرکشن ایک دن بھی لیٹ ہوئی, ایک ہفتہ لیٹ ہوئی, آپ کا پورا پروجیکٹ ایک دن یا ایک ہفتہ لیٹ ہو جائے گا. So this type of analysis we are going to just see in a second. ابھی ہم آگے چلیں گے, یہ اور بھی کلیئر ہو جائے گا. ابھی جو میں پرابلم آپ کو کرواؤں گا محمد نعمان, محمد منصور, तो इट विल गेट क्लियर. तो अभी सिर्फ डिस्क्रिप्शन की हद तक आप थोड़ा सा क्लियर रखें, आपके जहन में होगा कैसे ही होगा. अभी हम करते हैं अगली स्लाइड्स में चल के. ठीक हो गया?
Yes.
ओके. अच्छा, prioritize activities for effective management and to shorten the planned critical path of a project. So definitely you will prioritize the activities, you will try to shorten the path so that your project is completed earlier. Now there are two concepts in shrinking or making the project complete earlier. One is called fast tracking, the other is called crashing. And what is fast tracking? Fast tracking means performing more activities in parallel. Since the objective is to complete the project earlier, what will we do is, instead of making the activities in sequence, one after the other, for example, these are 1, 2, 3, and 4, what we will do is 1, 2, 3, and let's say 4. So we will try to shorten the duration of the project by making certain activities in parallel. So this is called fast tracking. Then is crashing. It is the crashing of the critical path, by the way. Shortening the durations of the critical path activities by adding resources. So you will have to put up extra resources. In the first case, you're rearranging the resources. But in this case, you are putting extra efforts than the usual. So you're crashing the project. We will see it in detail. Okay, this is the example. But before I start this example, I would like to go a couple of slides ahead and then come back. I should have done it already, but somehow the lecture was prepared like this, and I found that it is okay to first go forward and then come over here. So let's very quickly go. Just before going, you see this is the start of the project, this is the finish of project, and there are activities A, B, D, and there are activities A, C, D. There are two paths to complete this project. So we will do the analysis in a second. Let me go quickly. Let me go quickly over here. There are two types of things which are happening. One is called the arrow diagram, activities on arrows. I will explain. The other one is called precedence diagram, in which the activities are on nodes, AON. It is also called precedence diagram method, PDM. And this is called the arrow diagram method, called ADM. We will see it. I will just explain it. Just keep in mind, there are two network diagrams. Network means you're starting from point A, going to B, then C, and then D, and then going over here, then here, and something like that. So this type of activities are handled by two ways, two network diagram. One is called the activities on arrows, and other is called activities on nodes. Just hold on. You see this one is activities on arrows. Start point and ending point. There is an activity A, it takes 25 days to reach to point A. Then you perform another activity D for 10 days and reach point D. And then when you start something, you perform an activity B, you reach point B, and then 5 days for E, you reach D. And then you keep on going in multiple paths. It can be construction of a 5-marla house as well. For example, activity A, 25 days. For example, I'm spending 25 marla is, by the way, small. Let's say it's one canal. I'm just referring to 25 days. We are doing manual excavation. So let's assume there is a basement also, and we are taking 25 days of excavation, and it gets completed. Then 15 days, actually, we have ordered the steel, and the steel fixer has started working on straightening the bar, cutting the bar, bending the bar, because in the foundation we are going to use steel. It will take 15 days. So I don't want to do these activities in series. I don't want to wait for 25 days and then order the steel and then start the fabrication. I want to start along with the excavation. The moment the day excavation starts, the steel fabrication will also start, because I have the drawings, I know everything, so we can do that, no problem. Similarly, there is another activity C happening for 20 days. And what is that? For example, I have placed an order that my materials should be coming to the site. So that will include cement, sand, coarse aggregate, crushed stones, and so on. And maybe I have ordered the blocks to be manufactured and brought in, and so on. So it is taking 20 days. So it depends, by the way, it depends. So when we reach B and then we do 5, so you can just imagine, you can fill in the blanks according to your own. Now, if you ask me that why from start to A and from to D and then D to E, why not A to E? Sir, this is just a generic example. You will have your own actual project. For example, if I ask Mohammad Noman and Mansoor and Musawwar to please give me a project plan for construction of that 5-kilometer road which we discussed, all the three will give me a different plan. Maybe Noman gives me the plan something like what you are seeing on the screen, and then maybe Musawwir has another plan in which A is connected to E, for example, if it makes sense, and activities are differently planned and doing the same. So for the same project, there can be sort of infinite solutions, sort of. So you can't say that why it is like this. It depends upon the particular project at hand, that how you're going to sequence it. But anyways, this is the arrow diagram method, and these are the activities. Activities are shown by arrows. Circles are called nodes and indicated by start of end. So these are just nodes are explaining your start and end. So simple sum, for example, rule, it says that lay foundation 2 to 3, order material 2 to 3. It says that this is not correct, that you lay foundation from 2 to 3, you order material 2 to 4, and then there is an activity called dummy activity. Sometimes you can add and you connect them together. No, he says this is not, this should not be the case. So anyways, rule is only one connecting arrow between nodes. One connecting arrow between the nodes. This is the rule. The dummy ensures correct precedence relationship. So this dummy activity is what? It establishes the precedence relationship. Please wait for a few minutes. That what is this relationship? I'm going to explain that. Don't worry, you will get the explanation. Please then come back and see this, and you will get the clarity. So in this type of A to A activity on arrow diagram, the principle is that there will be only one arrow between the nodes. But to enforce certain relationships, we put a dummy activity. There is nothing happening, but it is only just to establish certain constraints on that. Okay, now coming to the second one, which is the activity on node. The activities are not happening on the arrows, but they are happening at the nodes. This is called the precedence diagram method. In this type of project diagram, nodes are tasks. Nodes are tasks. And arrows are merely connectors. So these are just the relationship. These are just connection. How A is connected to B. How B is connected to E, and so on. Now in this diagram, please see, this arrow is showing normal activities. Red one is showing the critical. So this is the critical path. These red arrows are critical path. I'm going to explain how it is critical path. Now in this, any of this square box, you see there are 6 small boxes giving some numbers. So let's see what are those numbers. This one, this one, the first one is called early start. The second one is called the early finish. This one. Now this center one is the duration. That means something started on 10, takes 25 days and gets completed on 35th day, and so on. Now, what are the bottom ones? You see, this bottom one is this one is the late start. Late start. You will get to it. What is a late start? Just hold on till I do the example. It will get clear. This one is the late finish. Late start, late finish. Early start, early finish. Late start, late finish. Duration. And this last one is what? This is called the float or total float. Float means the gunjaish, the margin by which this activity can fluctuate from one point to the other point. You have the margin of delaying it by this much time. Zishan, bole.
सर ये लेटेस्ट है सर.
Latest start, yes. Latest start or late start, you can take it the same way. ठीक हो गया? One is early, one is late. Opposite of each other, right? One is the early start, the other one is the late start or latest start, the way you call it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, now after this, let me go to that slide, which I said I'm going to explain it to you. Now, let it be like this. Just hold on. Let me pull up for me the numbers. Okay. Please help me in calculation. I sometimes adding because I'm paying attention, trying to explain also at the same time. So sometimes I get lost in the calculations. They're very simple numbers. So you please help me in that. Okay. Now we have this project which starts, okay, any day, any given day. So what we are doing is activity A is to be done. Forget about what is activity A. If you are considering a 5-marla house or 10-marla house or 1 canal house or construction of a 5-kilometer road, you just imagine anything. So any activity which starts will be, for example, activity number A. Okay. It will start on, let's say, calendar or our calendar, project calendar, for example. Day 1, date number 1, 1st May, for example. Okay. So now if you see over here, this is the early start. We will start, we have sat, we have understood, हमने आपस में बातचीत की, हमने कहा जी बस जिस दिन शुरू होगा वो डे नंबर 1 हो जाएगा, या वो 1st May भी हो सकता है कैलेंडर. It can be the calendar 1st May, for example, or it can be the project calendar. The start day will be marked as day 1. It depends how you do it. But anyways, let's say we are saying this is project calendar. So 1 is the day on which activity A will start. Now we know that we have estimated that already, that it is a 5 days activity. You see, this was the early start, which is 1st. The duration we have already estimated 5, and you remember that how to calculate that. For example, excavation, for example, anything. Let me not go into those discussion that how it will be 5, but somehow after discussions, the optimum time, the earliest time, the pessimistic time, whatever method you used, you came to the conclusion that a reasonable time is 5 days. We will be able to manage. It's neither too tight, it's not either too much. It is doable. So 5 days is the duration. Now you see this last box, this one is the early finish. See over here, early finish. Now what we have is, for early finish, I have given the formula over here. Early finish. Early finish is early start plus duration minus 1. So what we do is, early start is 1 plus the duration is 5 minus 1 equals what? Noman?
5.
Noman. 5. So now we know 1 is the day 1. 5 is not the day 5, this 5, the middle 5. This is the duration, how much time it will take. So it will be done by the end of day 5. Day 5 of the project, activity A will end. Just give me 1 second, sir. I need just 1 second. नोमान, मुझे 1 मिनट मिल सकता है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. नोमान, आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर.
ओके, अटेंडेंस एक ले लेते हैं दोबारा. अच्छा जी, दिस इज द सेकंड अटेंडेंस. आपकी प्रेजेंस कम होती है आपकी क्लास की. दूसरी क्लास के वैसे स्टूडेंट्स बड़े एक्टिव भी हैं, जल्दी भी आते हैं और काफी ज्यादा तादाद में होते हैं. नोमान,
Yes, sir.
क्या वजह, आप लोग पढ़ने शढ़ने का शौक नहीं ज्यादा?
सर ये लड़के शायद रिकॉर्डिंग सुनते हैं.
नहीं, मगर दूसरी वाली क्लास में आप मानेंगे कि बड़ी जल्दी 10 मिनट में मेरे ख्याल में 25-30 के करीब पहुंच जाते हैं. और देन 35-38 की मैंने प्रेजेंस देखी है आपके सेक्शन के मुकाबले में. और फिर क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स भी वहां पे ज्यादा है. आई डोंट नो, मेरी असेसमेंट है, मे बी मेरी थोड़ी बायस असेसमेंट हो. आई डोंट नो. नोमान, आप लोग ज्यादा बेहतर समझते हैं आपस में एक दूसरे सेक्शंस वाइज.
पता नहीं सर.
अच्छा, चलें. Okay, let's move further. Let's go further. So now this activity, when A is finished, let me take the upper path first. Randomly, let me take this upper path first. Now, when A will finish on 5, Noman or anybody else, Mansoor, anybody, when should the B activity should start? When should B start?
Sir, next step
From
is
6.
start
Yes. So what should be that? Give me the number.
6.
Okay. Oops. 6. ओके, ये किसी ने मैसेज किया, आई एम अनेबल टू सी, क्योंकि मेरे पास 2 स्क्रीन है लेकिन दोनों पे मैं अभी बिजी हूं. एनीबॉडी हु वांट्स टू से कुछ कह दें. कोई नोमान मेरी हेल्प करें. मैसेज क्या है?
सर इकरा ने मैसेज किया 6.
ओके, गुड. ठीक हो गया. 6 हो गया. Let's assume we have estimated that the duration of this activity is also 5 days. Now we know the formula over here. The early finish, we have this formula over here. EF is equal to ES plus D minus 1. So this will be 6 plus 5 minus 1 equals what?
10.
10.
10. Okay. Now, if it is finished on 10, let us go further. When should D start?
11.
चलो ठीक है, मैं चूंकि there is another path also over here, और मेरे पास अभी टूल जो है वो उसका वो नहीं है. वन नोट इज वेरी पावरफुल इन डूइंग दीज थिंग्स. मैंने उस पर नहीं किया, तो उसमें रब भी किया जा सकता है. तो मैं फिलहाल जस्ट, क्योंकि वन पाथ इज फ्रॉम हियर, वन पाथ इज, आई एम राइटिंग इट रफ नोट्स ओवर हियर. सॉरी, 11, आपने 11 कहा है ना? 10th, yes, B gets finished on 10th, and then on 11th D should start. The duration of D is 15 days. So when should this get completed? 11 plus 15 minus 1 equals to what?
25.
G?
25.
Okay, 25. Let me write it over here for now, outside, just for the sake. When we do this analysis also, we'll put it inside 11 and 25 if it is the case. Okay. Now, let's go from here. If this activity A is completed on 5, when should C start?
6.
Okay, good. The duration of activity C, we have somehow calculated it is 10 days. So what should be the early finish?
15.
6 plus 10 minus 1 equals to 15. Agreed?
Yes.
ठीक हो गया? Okay.
Yes.
Let's move further. Now, when we are coming from this path and reach to this D, whatever is D activity, concreting of slab, for example. Now, please tell me, when should D start?
Sir, 16.
16. Now, there is an issue. We have two values over here now. From this path, it tells us start the activities D on 16. If we come from this path, it says that do the activity on 11th. Which one are you going to prefer as a common sense?
The lesser one.
The less. Okay. Just hold on. किसने कहा? मैं नाम मुझे जान, मेरे सामने नाम नहीं है इस वक्त.
Rahim.
राहिल कहता है 11. ओके, गुड इनफ. अच्छा आंसर है, ठीक है. आप मतलब आंसर दें जो भी आपकी लॉजिक हो. गलत सही एक अलग क्वेश्चन है. Let's take the example of a simple home. Let's say activity D is the pouring of concrete for the slab. Let's say path A is, for example, path A is your fixing of windows during construction and many other things which are happening. Whereas C is the construction of walls. Now my question, किसने? राहिल था? क्या नाम बताया? राहिल. सही कह रहा हूँ ना? अच्छा, रहीम. Okay, Rahim. Now you tell me, without constructing the walls, can you start the slab of concrete?
No, sir.
So the longest path will tell you that this should be that. So now I am writing 16 over here.
Okay, sir, I understand.
Okay. नोमान समझ आ गया? मंसूर समझ आ गया?
Yes, sir.
तूरे सीनीन समझ आ गया? एक सेकंड मैं पूछता हूँ.
Yes, sir.
ओके. कुछ किसी ने माइक ओपन किया है?
Sir, we can say that the critical one, sir.
अभी आते हैं, उस पे आते हैं. वो आ जाते हैं. Okay. Now 16 plus 15 minus 1 is how much?
30.
Yes. 30. Now you see, start A, C, D is the longest path. A, B, D is the shorter path. It takes 25 days and this one takes 30 days. Now this longest path is the shortest time for completing our project. Now, this is the critical path. That is why it is bold, or maybe make it in red or whatnot and whatnot. If somebody asks you, what is your project duration of construction of this home or house for up to the roof slab, you will say 30 days. Because not 25 days. Okay, now let us do something else step by step. This lower portion, we have not touched on that. So this is the late start. You have decided to start the project on when? Balki nahi. In fact, we do it the other way. We do it the other way. You see this activity A, it finishes on what date? No man. When does A finish?
5.
Day 5. You will not want to get it delayed from day 5. Okay. Now you see you have the formula. Late start is equal to late finish minus duration equals to your late start. So late finish is 5 minus 5 days is your duration plus 1. So you get what date? What is the result over here?
1, sir.
1.
Okay, logical. This is also logic. Now this middle is the float, and float is what? Either LS minus ES or LF minus EF. 5 minus 5 or 1 minus 1, 0. You cannot delay activity A by even 1 day. Got it? Do you got this point? You cannot delay it by even 1 day. Your early start, your early finish is the same, and there is no float. Okay, coming to B. Now you see 16 is your what? Starting of activity D. What could be over here? Can you make it 17 over here? Late finish. No, it has to be 15. If activity B ends on 15, no problem. On 16th, D will start. You see, D activity is dependent upon these two things: completion of the walls and completion of the electrical circuits and other windows and whatever are being done. They need to be finished. So if D is to start on 16, B can finish even on 15 without any problem. But if you finish the B on 16, what will happen? If B can go up to 16, then there is a chance that D will also go to 17, which is not acceptable. So if D is 16 fix, 1 day before that, which is 15, end of the 15th day, you can bring it to that point. Now 15 minus 5 is the duration plus 1. What is the answer?
11, sir.
11. So the point is, when activity A finishes, you can start B on 6, you can start B on 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, but you must not go beyond 11th. You can start it on 11, no problem. So 11 minus 6 or 15 minus 10 is how much?
5, sir.
5. You have a float of 5 days in activity B. Either you started on 6, either you started on 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but you cannot go to 12. Okay, coming over here. if this is the 16th, when should be how much C could be delayed? What could be the last day for C?
15.
Yes, common sense. 15 minus 10 plus 1 is how much? 15 minus 10 plus 1. 6. 6 minus 6 or 15 minus 15 is 0. You cannot have any delay on C. Okay, now coming over here. So if 30th is the last day to finish, what should be how much could be the last date for D? Definitely again 30. You cannot go beyond 30. 30 minus 15 plus 1 is how much? How much?
16.
Sir, same.
Yes, 16. 16 minus 16, 30 minus 30, no slack. Now you see one peculiar thing. The longest path is ACD, longest path. And you see on this path, the slack, the float is 0. So this is another theoretical question to answer, that what is the float on activities which fall on the critical path? It will be 0, because you see, if any activity is delayed by even 1 day, so you will get the path longer by 1 day. But in the activity B, you delay it by 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 days, no problem. You will still be able to finish the project within 30 days. However, if due to certain problem, you end up starting the B on 12th, your critical path will jump and gets to this one. It will change. In actual execution, if it happens, then your critical path is then changed. Then it is dependent upon that. But as per planning, this is the critical path. And by the way, there is a terminology we will discuss later on very shortly, that is called the baseline. Your software has the option to save the baseline. When we plan this, when we all of us sign on this, we approve this project, it gets stored, it gets marked, it becomes a writing on the wall, pathar pe lakir, finish, frozen, it becomes the baseline. Now everything will be measured according to that. In real execution, due to certain problems, the electrician could not finish. You started the work on, instead of 6th day, you started the work on the 11th day, but due to certain reason, you could not finish it in 5 days because the pipes which were to be embedded in the concrete slab were delayed by 1 day. So the entire process got delayed by 1 day, and your critical path jumped in the real execution to this one. But that is the execution phase, not the planning. We are more concerned right now on planning. Noman clear hai? Mansoor clear hai?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. If this is clear, I think crux of the matter has been, I've been able to successfully do it. One important thing which I would like to go is, please इसको आप जरा read भी कर लें. कोई इतनी साइंटिफिक ऐसी समझाने वाली चीज मुझे नहीं लगती, इसको आप देख लें. मैं एक दो चीजें आपको बताना चाह रहा हूं. This we have already discussed. Pessimistic time, most likely time, optimistic. We have done it already. This is how it is telling you that you see 2 plus 4 times 4 plus 6. So this will be 16 plus 6, 22, and 2, 24 divided by 6, 4, and so on with all of them. So this is the expected time, how to calculate. This is the difference between CPM and PERT. Just hold on. I just want to go to the relationship. Just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold on. Yes. Activity A is called the predecessor of activity B. A is predecessor of B. B is the successor of A. Vice versa. If you are standing on point B, you look back, you will say this is the predecessor. If you're standing at point A, you're looking forward, you will say, oh, B is the successor of A. Okay, this is important. This slide is important. Very simple, but very important. Relationship. Coming back. This relationship. This relationship. This is the relation. Now, this relation can have 4 distinct types. 4. This is the default one. This is the fundamental one, common sense one. And your programs, your software program will have this as the standard by default, which is called finish to start, FS. And what is that? A logical relationship in which a successor means B, activity cannot start until a predecessor activity has finished. B will not start unless and until activity A is finished. Unless and until activity A is not 100%, you cannot start the activity B. If your walls are not ready, walls on which the slab is to be poured in a house, you cannot pour the concrete. So relationship is FS, finish to start. One activity A finishes, the predecessor finishes, and then the successor can start. This is the fundamental. Now the second one is finish to finish. A logical relationship in which successor activity cannot finish until a predecessor activity has finished. Okay. Something may be strange. Activity A is stuck at 90%. Activity B has already started somewhere in the time. It is also stuck. It will not be able to finish. It cannot be 100% unless and until A gets 100%. You can think of examples. We can discuss that, but let me quickly go to the next one. Start to finish. A logical relationship in which a successor activity cannot start until the predecessor activity has started. B cannot start. B cannot start from 0% onward. It cannot start if A has not started. You must start A in order to start B. But the moment A starts, you can start activity B. If the excavation has not started, let's not start the procurement of materials. For example, you have forced this relationship. You want to happen like this. Start to finish. A logical relationship in which a successor activity B, successor activity, cannot finish until the predecessor activity has started. B will get completed 100% only subject to the condition when A is started. Activity B will not finish unless and until activity A starts. I mean, the rest of the 3 might be requiring your thinking where it is possible. I gave the example, I think, of 3. We can think and come up with the possible examples of 2 and 4 as well. That what could be those situations? For example, 4 says B will not finish unless A has started. B will not finish unless A has started. Now, let me come up with some example for SF, the 4th one. It says that B cannot finish unless A has started. Now, let's say A is the excavation in a house. You placed the order of, for example, making of blocks. I don't know. I'm just giving example which may not be making too much of a sense, but this is the best right now. I can come up with good example later on, but just try to give me some example of this one. So the company, for example, you are looking for the materials, the blocks for the construction of the house. You went to company 1, company 2, company 3, and so on. One company is saying that if you give me the order right now, I will give you this much discount. The block sizes which we have are 8 inch by flana inch by flana inch. I said, but my design is okay. My design is not complete. Forget about excavation. My design is not complete. The company says our block is 8 inch. We have been providing it. It are good for seismic performance and this and that. And you are worried that your designer may end up giving you 9 inch block size instead of 8 inch. And that may not be the case. But the company says, don't worry. We have the stock. We just need to produce more. And this is a routine item for us. Right now, we do not have the order. We just have your order. We can go into production and we can finish it in, let's say, 10 days. And by the time your design finishes in 10 days, we will produce it. We will make it ready. However, if your design is not okay for 8 inches, no problem. We will not going to penalize you and we will keep this stock and you can go elsewhere, for example. So the production of the blocks has finished, but this activity will not finish unless and until the design is not finished. Noman, Mansoor. Noman and Mansoor.
Yes, sir.
कोई तो बनी इस एग्जांपल की जो मैंने देने की कोशिश की?
सर समझ आ गई है सर काफी हद तक.
मतलब देखें, मैंने अभी एट द मोमेंट जो मेरे जहन में एग्जांपल आ रही थी दे दी. इसके मुदस्सिर कुछ कहना चाह रहा है. मुदस्सिर अहमद खान.
जी सर.
कुछ आपने माइक ऑन किए, बोलें, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं.
नो सर, नहीं था क्वेश्चन सर वैसे.
ओके. तूरे सीनीन, मेरी जो एग्जांपल मैंने दी कुछ उसकी तुक बनती है, कुछ समझ आती है, लॉजिक की जो रिलेशनशिप मैंने बताई है?
No sir, I am confused in this example.
देखें, ओके, लेट मी क्विकली, मैं एक हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल फिलहाल जो मेरे जहन में आ रही दे रहा हूं, वो किसकी स्टार्ट टू फिनिश. हमने प्रोजेक्ट में रिलेशनशिप डिफाइन की है एक दो एक्टिविटीज के दरमियान, ए और बी के दरमियान, और वो रिलेशनशिप है सॉफ्टवेयर में कि एक्टिविटी बी उस वक्त तक फिनिश नहीं होगी जब तक कि क्या होगा. एक सेकंड. अच्छा नहीं, मैंने ये तो गलत एग्जांपल दे दी. ये तो फिनिश टू फिनिश होना चाहिए था. आई एम सॉरी, मैंने 2 की एग्जांपल दी है, आप इसलिए कंफ्यूज हैं. ओके, आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट. फिनिश टू फिनिश, a logical relationship in which successor activity cannot finish until predecessor activity has finished. I'm sorry, मैं 2 की एग्जांपल दे रहा था और मैं कोट 4 को कर रहा था. I was wrong in quoting. मेरी मिसाल ये थी, एक्टिविटी बी उस वक्त तक 100% कंप्लीट नहीं होगी जब तक एक्टिविटी ए 100% कंप्लीट ना हो जाए. उसकी मिसाल मैं ये देने की कोशिश की कि आपने एक्टिविटी बी आपकी है प्रोवाइडिंग या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ 100,000 ब्लॉक्स which are 8 inch width और जिनकी स्ट्रेंथ है 1700 psi. This is the activity B. एक सप्लायर है, एक मैन्युफैक्चरर है ब्लॉक्स का जो कि 8 इंच के ब्लॉक बनाता है जिनकी स्ट्रेंथ 1700 psi जो आपके मुताबिक है. मसला सिर्फ फंसा हुआ है विड्थ ऑफ द ब्लॉक पे. वजह क्यों? आपने अपना जो घर का डिजाइन है वो किसी डिजाइनर को दिया हुआ है. वो एक्टिविटी है डिजाइन ऑफ द हाउस बाय कंसल्टेंट मेसर्स नेस्पार्क और XYZ ABC consultants. ABC consultants जो हैं, they will take 10 days to complete the design, and the designer is telling you, depending upon the size of your room, seismic region, and whatever is your architectural plan, they are designing the building. They are expecting that you may get 8 inch width of the walls, or you may get 9 inch width of the block, and they will be able to tell you on the completion of the design. It is not there. It is not fixed. It's not final. Now, in order to save time, somehow the जो ब्लॉक मैन्युफैक्चरर है कंपनी, वो कहती है जी हम 8 इंच के ब्लॉक हमारे पास स्टॉक में पड़े होते हैं, آپ کو 1,00,000 بلاک چاہیے, ہمارے پاس صرف 10,000 کی کمی ہے, ہم ایسا کرتے ہیں آپ کے لیے 10,000 بنا دیتے ہیں. اگر تو آپ کے ڈیزائنر نے 8 انچ پہ ہی فائنلائز کر لیا تو بس ہمارے پاس 90,000 بنے ہوئے پڑے ہیں, 10,000 ہم اور بنائیں گے. اور اگر آپ کا 9 انچ ہوا, نو پرابلم, ہم آپ کو چارج نہیں کریں گے, آپ کا قصوروار نہیں ہوں گے. آپ بھلے پھر کسی اور کے پاس چلے جائیں, ہم سے نہ لیں, یا ہم آپ کے لیے 9 انچ کے بعد میں بنا دیں گے, لیکن ظاہری بات اس پہ ٹائم لگے گا. تو آپ اپنے اس ہاؤس کو رسک آپ لے رہے ہیں. دیر از اے رسک ناؤ انوالوڈ, وہ آپ آلریڈی ہمیں ڈسکشن کر چکے ہوں, وٹ از رسک اینڈ وٹ آر ایشوز. ڈیزائنر نے, اور آپ خود بھی انجینئر ہیں, سو یو آر ناٹ ٹیکنگ اے کیلکولیٹڈ رسک. آپ کو امید ہے کہ 8 انچ پہ کام چلے گا, تو آپ نے کیا کیا, کنڈیشن سیٹ کر دی اپنی ریلیشن شپ کی یہاں پر اے اور بی کے درمیان. ایکٹیویٹی بی اس وقت تک کمپلیٹ نہیں ہوگی جب تک کہ اے جو کہ ڈیزائن ہے وہ کمپلیٹ نہیں ہوگا, کیونکہ 10ویں دن جب ڈیزائن فائنلائز ہوگا, ڈیزائنر گو ہیڈ دے گا کہ یس 8 انچ آر اوکے, یو گو ہیڈ. دا سیم ٹائم بس آپ کے وہ 10,000 بلاک آپ کے فوراً اسی دن ڈیلیور ہو جائیں گے, بات ختم ہو جائے گی. سو ان دس کیس, in project planning, we have established a relationship between A and B, which is finish to finish. B will only finish when A will finish. 1,00,000 بلاک تب کمپلیٹ ہو کے ڈلیوری کی طرف جائیں گے, وہ ایگزیکیوٹ ہوں گے جب ہمارا ڈیزائن مکمل ہوگا, اور اس ڈیزائن کی آؤٹ پٹ جو ہے وہ یہ ہوگی کہ 8 انچ کے بلاک چاہیے. اور دیکھیں آپ نے رسک لیا ہے, خدا نہ خواستہ 9 انچ کا سائز فائنلائز ہو گیا تو نو پرابلم, ایکٹیویٹی بی ختم نہیں ہوگی, نو پرابلم. وہ جو 1,00,000 کی کاسٹ ہے 20 لاکھ روپیہ فار ایگزامپل بلاک کی, فار ایگزامپل, وہ کوئی پرابلم نہیں ہے. صرف پرابلم یہ آ جائے گا کہ اب آپ کو 9 انچ کا آرڈر دینا ہوگا اور اب آپ کا پروجیکٹ اس میں ڈیلے ہو جائے گا. یہاں پہ اگر آپ کو سلیک نہ ہوا, یہ کرٹیکل بات ہو, آپ کا پورا پروجیکٹ ڈیلے ہو جائے, وہ رسک ہے. لیکن وہ رسک آپ نے کیلکولیٹڈ لے لیا, آپ یہ ایکچوئل پلاننگ کر لی کہ جی میں ایکٹیویٹی بی تب کمپلیٹ تصور کروں گا یا کروں گی, اگر تورے سینین کر رہی ہے یا اقرا کر رہی ہے, کہ جس دن مجھے ڈیزائن مل گیا, اس نے گو ہیڈ کر دیا 8 انچ از اوکے, آپ کے 8 انچ 90,000 بلاکس تیار پڑے ہیں, 10,000 آپ بنا رہے ہیں میرے لیے, بن چکے ہوں گے, نو پرابلم, آئی ول جسٹ بائی دیم. تو یہ ریلیشن شپ ہے اس کی. اب کلیئر ہوا نعمان اینڈ منصور, تورے سینین اب کلیئر ہے؟
یس سر.
چلیں, وہ میری آئی ایم سوری فار پریویس مسٹیک, میں اسٹارٹ ٹو فنش کو ایکسپلین کر رہا تھا اور میں ایکسپلین ایکچولی فنش ٹو فنش تھا. سو اسی طرح ہم سوچ سکتے ہیں اسٹارٹ ٹو فنش کیا. اسٹارٹ ٹو فنش ہے لاجیکل ریلیشن شپ ان وچ سکسیسر ایکٹیویٹی کین ناٹ فنش انٹل دی پریڈیسیسر ہیز اسٹارٹیڈ. اس کا بھی سوچ سکتے ہیں کہ یہ کون سی ایکٹیویٹی ہو سکتی ہے. مثلاً اس میں یہ ہو سکتا ہے لاجیکل ریلیشن شپ ان وچ سکسیسر ایکٹیویٹی کین ناٹ فنش انٹل پریڈیسیسر ایکٹیویٹی ہیز اسٹارٹیڈ. سم ٹائمز ایسا ہو سکتا ہے کہ آپ کی کچھ چیزیں, مثلاً کوئی چیز آپ آرڈر کر رہے ہیں, آپ نے ایکسکیویشن کر دی ہوئی ہے, کیا پتا ایکسکیویشن کو تھوڑا سا بڑھانا پڑ جائے بیکاز آف سم تھنگ وچ ہیز ٹو بی اسٹارٹیڈ وچ از ویگ ایٹ دا مومنٹ. یو کین تھنک آف دیز تھنگس لیٹر آن. یہ برین اسٹارمنگ ہم بعد میں کر سکتے ہیں, یہ کوئی ایسی بڑی بات نہیں ہے. لیکن دیکھیں پوائنٹ اس وقت ہمارا جو پریشانی ہونی چاہیے وہ یہ نہیں ہونی چاہیے کہ کہاں پر کون سی ایگزامپل جو ہے وہ ہونی چاہیے. وہ ہم علیحدہ سے بیٹھ کے سوچ کے میں آپ کو 10,000 ایگزامپلس دے سکتا ہوں کہ پروجیکٹ میں یہ ایک میں نے ابھی آپ کو فنش ٹو فنش کی دے دی, فنش ٹو اسٹارٹ کی تو آپ کو پتا ہے, اسٹارٹ ٹو اسٹارٹ کی بھی میں نے دے دی. تو یہ بتانے کا صرف اس وقت آپ کو یہ کنسرن ہونا چاہیے, یو شوڈ بی کلیئر کہ یو ہیو 4 possible relationships when you are defining a Gantt chart. You can pick the relationship. اچھا پھر اس میں ایک اور چیز بتاؤں, سافٹ ویئر میں ایک آپشن یہ بھی ہوتی ہے, یہ میں نے ایم ایس پروجیکٹ کو زیادہ اگریسولی یوز کیا اور یقیناً پرائماویرا میں بھی ہوگی. آپ ریلیشن شپ ڈیفائن کرتے کیسے ہیں کہ آپ ماؤس کو لے کے اس لائن کے اوپر ڈبل کلک کرتے ہیں ان دا سافٹ ویئر. میں ایم ایس پروجیکٹ کی بات کر رہا ہوں اور پرائماویرا میں بھی کچھ اس طرح کی کوئی ہوگا پروسیجر. تو ایم ایس پروجیکٹ میں جب آپ یہ ڈبل کلک کرتے ہیں اس لائن کو, دی ریلیشن شپ ڈائلاگ باکس اوپنس اور ڈیفالٹ میں ہوتا ہے FS. آپ اس میں کلک کرتے ہیں اینڈ یو گیٹ دی لسٹ آف FF, SS اور SF, جو بھی آپ چاہیں سلیکٹ کر لیں. اچھا سلیکٹ کرنے کے بعد اس میں ایک اور آپشن بھی آتی ہے کہ آپ اس میں کتنا ڈیلے یا لیگ آپ ڈالنا چاہتے ہیں. یعنی کہ دونوں کی ریلیشن شپ آپ نے کہا فنش ٹو فنش یا فنش ٹو سٹارٹ جو بھی ہے, फॉर एग्जाम्पल फिनिश टू स्टार्ट ले ले, एक्टिविटी ए जब खत्म होगी तो एक्टिविटी बी स्टार्ट होगी, तो डिफॉल्ट में इसमें जो डिले होता है वो 0 डे का होता है या 0 आवर का होता है, 0 यूनिट टाइम का होता है। आप डबल क्लिक करके इसको डिफाइन कर सकते हैं कि एक्टिविटी ए जब खत्म हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल कॉन्क्रीटिंग ऑफ द फाउंडेशन 148 डला हुआ है, तो एक्टिविटी बी जो है वो मैंने फाउंडेशन की ब्रिक वर्क शुरू करनी है, लेकिन सर्दियों का मौसम है, मुझे चाहिए कि मैं कम से कम 1 दिन या 2 दिन वेट करूं और उसके बाद इसके ऊपर एक्टिविटी शुरू हो। तो मैंने डबल क्लिक किया तो रिलेशनशिप में डाला कि 2 डेज का इसमें डिले या लैग डाल दें, तो एक्टिविटी ए जब खत्म होगी तो एक्टिविटी बी अगले दिन नहीं शुरू होगी। एक्टिविटी ए अगर खत्म हुई थी 5 तारीख को तो 7 डे तारीख को एक्टिविटी बी स्टार्ट होगी। तो ये रिलेशनशिप जो लैग की है या डिले की है, ये तमाम फिनिश टू फिनिश, स्टार्ट टू फिनिश, स्टार्ट टू स्टार्ट और स्टार्ट टू फिनिश में आप दे सकते हैं। ये फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी आपके पास है, या आप उसको एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। क्लियर हो गया जनाब? क्लियर हो गया?
यस यस सर।
ओके, ये आप काइंडली सेल्फ स्टडी कर लें। ये मैंने जनरलाइज से एग्जांपल्स हैं। देखें, ये उसी तरह आपका स्टार्ट और फिनिश है, आपकी मुख्तलिफ नोड्स हैं। एक पाथ आपका ACG है, उसको हमने रेड किया हुआ है क्योंकि सबसे लंबा पाथ है, 9, 8, 10 डेज 27 बनते हैं, तो दिस इज द क्रिटिकल पाथ, दिस वन। अब देखिए थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स है। बी के बाद देयर इज एन ऑप्शन ऑफ गोइंग टू दिस पाथ and there is a possibility of going to this path and there is a possibility. So how many paths? 1, 2, 3 and 4. You देखिए 1, 2, 3. So there are 4 paths. 27th one is the longest one and that is the critical path. Any activity delayed by even 1 day will delay the whole. Do you now understand? So इसमें देखिए इसने आके ये एनालिसिस किया हुआ है। इसको काइंडली आप खुद, जो चीजें मैंने बताई हैं सारी चीजें इस थोड़ी सी कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम में खुद डिफाइंड है। You don't need to do it. It is already there. So please go through this. नोमान कर लेंगे?
इंशाल्लाह सर।
सेल्फ स्टडी कर लें, ये सामने एग्जांपल अवेलेबल है। इसी तरह ये सारी चीजें एक्सप्लेन हुई, मैंने उस पे नोट्स भी डाले हुए आपके लिए। So please do this as a, it's not a formal assignment. This is your homework, not home assignment but homework. Please do it. ये सारी एनालिसिस पे हुआ है। So now you can imagine कि देखें, आप जिस तरह मैंने एग्जांपल दी थी स्ट्रक्चर एनालिसिस का सॉल्व करते हैं या और चीजें सॉल्व करते हैं, एग्जैक्टली इसी तरह यू कैन डू द एनालिसिस ऑफ योर प्रोजेक्ट एज वेल। अटेंडेंस ले लेता हूं और मेरी तरफ से मैं इसको खत्म कर रहा हूं क्योंकि टाइम, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम डिलेड बाय 3 मिनट्स। आई रियली डोंट वांट टू डिले बाय इवन 1 मिनट। शुरू में हम थोड़ा सा लेट स्टार्ट हुए, एनीवेज तो लेट फिनिश हो गया, लेट स्टार्ट लेट फिनिश, प्रोजेक्ट हमारा डिले हो गया आज, क्रिटिकल पाथ को हम कैप्चर ना कर सके। एनीवेज, सो प्लीज गो थ्रू दिस एग्जांपल्स, ऑल ऑफ दीज आर डिफाइंड, सो यू कैन हैव अ लुक ऑन दैट। ये आपके देखिए सॉफ्टवेयर की मैंने एग्जांपल्स भी इधर डाली हुई हैं। ये रिलेशनशिप देखिए आपको नजर आ रही है एरोस की। दिस इज हाउ यू कैन, दिस विल स्टार्ट एंड ओनली दिस विल स्टार्ट, दिस व्हेन फिनिशेस, व्हेन यू सी दिस। आप मेरा माउस देख रहे हैं 20 नंबर कैलेंडर यूनिट, ये 20 के सामने। यहां पर आप देखें कि रिलेशनशिप फिनिश टू स्टार्ट तो है लेकिन कुछ डिले भी लग रहा है, शायद डिले हो या ना हो। एनीवेज आप देख लें, ये इसमें क्लियर होगा। एनीवेज, लेट्स फिनिश दिस ओवर हियर। यू कैन स्टार्ट लीविंग। आई हैव टेकन द फाइनल अटेंडेंस। अगर किसी का कोई रुकना चाहे, बात करना चाहे, मोस्ट वेलकम, अदरवाइज यू कैन प्रिपेयर फॉर योर नेक्स्ट क्लास। नोमान, आपकी नेक्स्ट क्लास तो है ना अभी?
यस सर।
कितने, 10 बजे?
यस सर।
चलें, बस अपने आप को फ्रेश करें मेरे ख्याल में, ताकि डीकंप्रेस करें और अगली क्लास की तैयारी करें।
सर जी क्विज एमसीक्यूज टाइप होगा या दूसरा होगा सर?
खालिद, दोनों तरह के हो सकते हैं, डिस्क्रिप्टिव भी हो सकता है।
ओके सर।
ओके, अगली क्लास में जब भी हुई वर्किंग क्लास वीक 6 तो आपका क्विज होगा, और असाइनमेंट जो है वो आपने अपने टाइम पे ड्यू डेट में अगले हफ्ते में जमा करानी है।
ओके सर, राइट।
ओके, थैंक यू। मैं रिकॉर्डिंग को स्टॉप कर रहा हूँ, आप लोग जा सकते हैं।